Joe Manchin, the West Virginia Democrat, picked today, the day following the historic conviction of Donald Trump, to announce his defection from the Democratic Party, registering instead as an independent. Manchin has been flirting with making the switch for some time, but it's unclear why he chose to share his party affiliation switch today. Regardless, Manchin has long been a thorn in the side of the Democrats, breaking with party on make-or-break votes and watering down other pieces of legislation like President Biden's Inflation Reduction Act, which he helped craft. He's also broken with Biden on the climate change agenda.
In a statement published Friday, Manchin explained why he's leaving the Dems, writing, quote, "Today, our national politics are broken, and neither party is willing to compromise to find common ground, to stay true to myself and remain committed to put country before party." Manchin has already announced he will not seek re-election in the Senate now as an independent. He opens up a pathway for himself to run for West Virginia's governorship before becoming a senator in 2010. He did serve two terms as West Virginia's governor. Now, I think Joe Manchin doing this today is him looking at the news and, wow, everyone's paying attention to politics. How do I make this about me? That's what I get from Joe Manchin today. I don't know. That's my take.
Yeah, it's a definitely interesting, if not weird, timing. He, of course, has been going back and forth on this decision for quite some time. I don't know how much it actually changes anything. He's already said that he's not planning to run as an independent presidential candidate with no labels, which has now abandoned its ticket. I suppose there is the chance he could run as an independent for governor, but they've already finished the primary there for the Republican and Democrat nominees. And it looks like the Republican, Patrick Morrisey, is pretty well poised to take over. I'm not convinced that Joe Manchin would be able to come in at this point as an independent and take enough votes away from him to actually win the election. Maybe I'm wrong. Maybe West Virginians really love Joe Manchin. But it is pretty fascinating that he waited until just a few months before his retirement from the Senate to actually make this switch, where it's basically meaningless.
It's so interesting to have people like Joe Manchin say, our politics are broken. First of all, I think our politics are better than they've been in many years. More people are paying attention than ever before. More people are passionately calling out the corruption that we see every single day. And so we have systems that are broken, sure. Were they ever, working well to begin with? I think that's up for debate. I think probably not. But to say that our politics are broken in this moment, it reminds me of Hillary Clinton saying deplorables. Because to say our politics are broken because the uniparty can't function like it used to, we can't trick people, that establishment Republicans and establishment Democrats aren't two different parties anymore and they're calling it the uniparty, that makes our politics broken. He's not the kind of guy that's like, hey everyone, we have more in common than we do different. He's saying, hey everyone, the interests of corporate Republicans and establishment Democrats are the same, and I represent both of them. It's like, I'm an independent. Yeah, we already knew that, Joe Manchin, thanks.
There is this conceit that so often comes from people like this, and I actually liked some of his votes against the Biden administration on some issues, but people like this who talk about politics as if it's like a baseball game and we all shake hands at the end of it and everybody gets along, and if we argue with each other, then we must be doing something wrong. If we're not passing bipartisan legislation, we must be doing something wrong. And I think that's so counter to really even just the way that the founding fathers conceived of what our government would be, right? They put all of these checks and balances into place on purpose to actually make it more difficult for people to ram through legislation. They didn't want the majority to become the tyranny of the majority. And people so often make this mistake of determining whether or not the government is being effective based on how many bills they pass. And a lot of those bills suck and make people's lives worse. So I generally think that they should pass fewer bills, and the bills they do pass should absolutely be hotly debated and contested, and there should be a long amendment process because generally when we see something going through with a lot of consensus, this is not always the case, but if it's a massive consensus-backed bill between establishment Republicans and establishment Democrats, there's usually something in the fine print that is kind of concerning. We see a lot of cases where these massive economic bills, these massive spending bills include specific kickbacks and deals that are cut with these congresspeople and senators where they get something very specific for their district or for their state that has nothing to do with the bill in question, and it's this pork barrel nonsense that happens too often. So I have no problem with politics being a little bitter, a little argumentative, if it means that people are actually standing up for principles and hopefully trying to legislate on behalf of the American people rather than what's convenient for lobbying groups or for kickbacks they might get to their state or to their district, and what gives them a good voting record in terms of, oh, we passed this many pieces of bipartisan legislation, that means we're doing our job.
Yeah, Joe Manchin's, I looked up his net worth, I was curious. It's $12 million. He's a very rich guy. To put yourself in the position of like, I'm a Democrat, but I'm a centrist, it's like putting up a for sale sign. He's like, if you want me to vote on the other side for a particular issue, give me a bunch of lobbying money for that issue. He is someone who's really towed the line for corporations to play politics effectively and tell everyone, I just don't like fighting. I'm just the guy in the middle. I'm for common sense, when really what he's for is for sale. That doesn't qualify you to be the governor of West Virginia, to decide I'm not going to run for re-election, I'm going to run for higher office, but before I do it, let me register as an independent to make everybody think I'm on your side. It's playing politics in the most disgusting way, and West Virginia is one of those states where there are a lot of people who have fought very hard to have a good life in America, who were coal miners. People who fought, with unions, who were attacked by the U.S. government in some cases when they were striking for better working conditions, people who were living in shacks and company towns. And to represent a state with this kind of rich history of people really struggling for their rights, to not be a guy who really represents working class America and instead represent corporate America, it's just an extra fold in the Manchin book that's just gross to me.
Going back to how this is going to actually affect the Senate, it doesn't really. He's obviously taking a vote away from the Democrats. Technically, he's leaving their caucus, but of course he'll be leaving in January. And Jim Justice, the former West Virginia, or the current West Virginia governor, who was previously a Democrat and actually changed his party registration to Republican, so he went all the way, is now has won the Republican primary, is pretty much seen as a shoo-in to win the Senate seat in West Virginia. Democrats and Republicans both are not probably going to spend a whole lot of money there because the outcome is pretty much seen as predetermined. Everybody loves Jim Justice in West Virginia. So Democrats are just losing the seat basically 6 months earlier than they were anticipated to. Obviously, the Senate control is going to come down to more swing states like Montana, Arizona, Pennsylvania, et cetera.
Yeah, I think I agree with that take.
All right, Jess, it was great to be back at the desk with you today. Good to see you in person.
You as well, Amber. Happy birthday.
Thank you. That's going to do it for us today. Be sure to like, share, and subscribe so you never miss any content. And for those of you who like to listen while on the go, we are now available anywhere you listen to podcasts.
Bye, y'all.